So this video is not going to be scripted whatsoever. Actually, I'm going to be giving you my live impressions of what I think about the Audio-Technica BP40 2040 over here, the AT2040 versus the Rode Podmic. So currently at this time, I actually have them both connected. Rodecaster Pro, which is an audio interface that can support both microphones. So I am going to be switching from one to another so that you can hear what each one sounds like, and then we can all decide which one sounds best by default. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive right in. Before we continue, don't forget that I have a Twitch channel that you can go ahead and follow me on for live microphone reviews and much more than that. But you're also going to find my Instagram and a link to the Tech Summit Discord in the description. So come join the community because it is a pretty cool one. We've also opened up a Patreon as of late where if you join, you'll be automatically entered to win one tech gadget every month in our exclusive giveaways. Details to that are going to be down below. Don't forget to check out the description for everything. Now let's get right into the video. And then let's begin this video with the Audio-Technica AT2040. Now, this microphone is actually pretty darn good for 100 bucks, I would say. And I really do think that Audio-Technica did a very good job with it. This microphone does, again, remind me a lot of the Audio-Technica BP40, this being a dynamic microphone that still kind of tries to go for that podcasty, broadcasty sound, but it does it more so by pushing the mids forward as much as possible, or just by, and I do prefer how this microphone sounds over an EQ. However, like this, let's say if you don't have an EQ, I think most people are going to be happy with this kind of sound quality. Now moving on to the Rode Podmic. So this is actually the microphone that I've been using for the past year to record the Tech Summit podcast. Now, this is what this microphone is going to sound like, and I also think that this microphone sounds pretty good as it is. Now, this microphone does have a nicer design, in my opinion, than the Audio-Technica AT2040, but both of these are still going to cost 100 bucks. Both of these are still built really well, though I would say that the Rode Podmic does have a better mounting system in a sense, because it is all metal versus something that does still have plastic right around where the mounting is on the Audio-Technica AT2040. So in that case, I would, like, when it comes to build quality per se, I would still have to give the win to the Rode Podmic. When it comes to looks, I would have to give the win to the Rode Podmic too. However, I really don't mean to downplay this microphone whatsoever. This microphone does sound pretty good by default, and yes, it is still built pretty well. Now, there isn't anything about the outside that really makes it all that special. I would say that is just mostly in the sound quality. In my opinion, from the many testing that I have done with the Rode Podmic and the Audio-Technica AT2040, the AT2040 actually does a better job when it comes to sound rejection from behind it, for instance. Like, I do have a very obnoxious air conditioner over there, which I am going to turn on so that you can hear at some point, like how well both of these microphones are going to handle sound rejection. However, I'm pretty sure that the Audio-Technica AT2040 is going to win in that regard. Now, both of these microphones are constantly being compared to one another, and that is because of the obvious price tag, the size of both of these. Like, they're pretty much trying to target the same market, though the Rode Podmic is just a little bit more forward when it comes to them marketing themselves towards podcasters and things like that. And then we have microphones like the Audio-Technica AT2040 that is just very much, I don't want to say that it's really being marketed toward podcasters, but it is being marketed towards the content creation crowd first and foremost. Now, both of these are going to be cardioid dynamic microphones, and I do believe that the frequency response is actually going to vary between these two. So I know that for the Audio-Technica AT2040, the frequency response is going to be from 80 Hz to 16 kHz, while on the Rode Podmic, I believe this has the entire coverage, so from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, but I can go ahead and check that out actually. And yes, the Rode Podmic does indeed have 20 hertz, 20 kilohertz. So that means that there is more that you can do with the Rode Podmic when it comes to customization. Even though when it comes to EQing this microphone, I haven't been so lucky in getting the kinds of results that I would be happy with. Now, with something like the Audio-Technica AT2040, which I do feel like I've been saying quite a lot for a little while, this little microphone here is pretty impressive for what it is, and even though it does have a more limited range there when it comes to the frequency response, I have felt like this microphone is actually easier to work with when I'm trying to EQ it. I don't usually try to EQ it over something like, let's say, the Rodecaster here, but I try to do it over something like the AVerMedia Nexus, for example. And I know that a lot of people actually really like both of these microphones, and I understand where a lot of the overlapping is going, which is why my recommendations are actually going to be based on who you are. But first and foremost, I did want to bring up that I have not done a plosives test, so let me go ahead and do that. Pick Peter, the things that Peter Piper picks. I am being as aggressive with my P's as I can be so that you can get the puff, 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 puff. Now, this is going to be the plosives test with the Audio-Technica AT2040. Puff, 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 puff. Peter Piper did a thing with pickled peppers. That doesn't sound so right. Plosives, honestly, I think that both microphones handle plosives pretty well, but I think that the Audio-Technica AT2040 handles plosives better. Now we're going to be moving on to the background noise test so that you can hear what that sounds like. So first and foremost, this is going to be the AC test, I suppose, or the sound rejection test from a relative distance here with the Rode Podmic. So this is what that's going to sound like. I'm going to shut up for a moment. I would say that it does do a pretty good job at ignoring that noise, even from this distance, but it's not exactly what I would have expected out of a microphone like this, considering that something like the Samsung Q2U has actually done an amazing job at rejecting sound in the past, but this video is not about that microphone as much as I do enjoy it. And now this right here is going to be the AC test, as I like to call it, with the Audio-Technica AT2040. So this is what that's going to sound like if you're speaking into the microphone while you have the air conditioner on. So this is kind of what you should expect. I personally don't find it to be very distracting whatsoever, but maybe noticeable if you're paying enough attention, I would say. But I think this microphone does do a very good job at rejecting noise, particularly noise that is behind it, even if it is with an air conditioner that is very obnoxious and stupid, but gets the job done, I suppose. Now I'm just going to shut up so that you can hear that for a moment. So in conclusion, I actually started off the intro to this video using the Rode Podmic because I thought that I was going to like this microphone a little bit more than what I would the Audio-Technica AT2040. And now I will say this, I do prefer the Rode Podmic for two reasons. One, I think that when it comes to the visuals, it's just more appealing for a podcast, for recording. It looks better on video and it does catch people's attention more. So I am going to give it that. And I also think that the Rode Podmic does sound clearer than something like the AT2040 does. I don't think this microphone in particular sounds the clearest. And I can give you a pretty good example here. This is what this microphone is going to sound like So yeah, it's really just not the clearest microphone. However, I would argue that this microphone is better at sound rejection. It's better when it comes to applying an EQ and working with an EQ on this microphone, in spite of the more limited frequency range there, because I have gotten some pretty awesome results, smooth results, in fact, out of this microphone. So with the proper EQ, this microphone would be an absolute beast, a better beast than the Rode Podmic. So here is going to be my verdict. And now this is what both microphones are going to sound at the same time. I'm doing this because I'm kind of a dickhead. But in conclusion, both microphones are very good options. If you're looking to start a podcast, if you're looking to record YouTube videos, if you're looking to stream, if you're looking a lot of different things, though definitely don't use these for syncing whatsoever. It's just not worth it. So in other words, if you're somebody that doesn't want to mess around with your audio whatsoever, like you just want a microphone that's going to work right out of the box, both of these are great options, but I think that the better option is going to be the Rode Podmic. However, if you do like to tinker with your audio and you do have the means to do so through an interface that does have an EQ, and then in that case, the Audio-Technica AT2040 is going to be the winner. However, I really like both of these microphones, so choosing a winner is a little bit tough, especially when you're listening to them exactly at the same time like this. But my personal favorite is just going to be the Rode Podmic in this case, though the Audio-Technica AT2040 does get incredibly close. So yeah, there is essentially my verdict, and do keep what I said into consideration, because this microphone can be better under the right circumstances. Now, with that said, if you are interested in purchasing either one of these microphones, then I will be making sure to leave affiliate links down to Amazon in the description. And if you end up using any of my links, then I do get a small commission that does help out the channel quite a bit. So I would appreciate that quite a bit. And also, I would like to give a very special thanks to all of our patrons, which in this case, let's begin with the tier 3s. Those are going to be Omar, Saad Albazel, and Joe Moss. Thank you so much for all of your support. We really do appreciate it. And now, on to the rest of the tier 2s coming right up. And this is super important. I would just like to give a very special thanks to all of our patrons, which are going to be listed right here on the screen. Again, a massive thanks to you all for supporting us to help us create the kind of content that we bring to you on a day-to-day basis. And thank you so much for supporting the Tech Summit podcast as well. And just remember that if you would like to be a part of this community too, and then do make sure to check out the links to our Patreon, where you don't only get bonus episodes of our podcast, but you also get automatically entered into one of our monthly giveaways of a tech product that we have reviewed that is of at least $50 in value or higher. So links to that down below. And now don't forget to follow me on both Instagram and Twitch, where I do tend to stream fairly often. Now with that said, this has been Francisco from Tech Summit. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be seeing you all later. Enjoy.